Good evening, everyone. It is Pacific time here in West Coast, 5:30 p.m. And today we are at the class 7. So 7th class of Abhidhamma study. And we are happy to see everyone who are here today, including our teacher, Bandit Pinyadiga Lingara. Today we will be learning fundamental knowledge of Abhidhamma and discussion, the study of Citta, part 1. And here our agenda. Our usual agenda, usually we start our class by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. And then Bandi will teach us Pāļi pronunciation method, followed by Abhidhamma Lecture. And then we will stop the live streaming. And for those of you who are watching us on live stream, you can join us to the class at the Zoom ID right here, at the Zoom ID and passcode, to listen to the question and answer session. And we will also be closing our today's session by sharing merits and closing with Metta. Without further ado, let us start our class. Bhante, would you like to lead us with Namo Tassa? Thanks, Bhante.
Let's recite Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Bhante, please teach us Pāļi pronunciation, followed by Abhidhamma. Thanks, Bhante.
Okay. Sadhu. Okay. We are learning Pāļi pronunciation method as how to read the Pāļi text and how to pronounce Pāļi text correctly. Actually, it is not that difficult. And only the case of the Kamma-vaca. So only in the case of Kamma-vaca, we need to pronounce correctly all the words in their proper location of arising place. So, for example, the ka, 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 nga, the first line, the 5 consonants, it is generated in the kanta. In Pāļi, it is called the kanta, or throat. So, in normal readings, normal Pāļi reading, it doesn't matter if we try to pronounce ka, following the voice we already heard, and usually is considered as correct. But for the ordination, like the ordination Kamma-vaca or like this is official recitation. They are very strict way we have to follow to make sure the ka is originated in the throat, started from the throat or like this. So the other types of Pāļi readings, if we can follow the system of Pāļi, normal Pāļi reading is okay. So now we are studying the Pāļi pronunciation of, we are practicing at the same time. And the Pāļi text pronunciation through the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So I have already explained how to pronounce Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, and we already have read the Sutta. So today we will recite the Sutta together. And if you have a question after recitation, and we can continue to teach about how about the method how to pronounce when they come in connection with the double consonant or triple consonants like this. The only thing we have to focus. In other case, I think you already understand how to pronounce. So, okay, first of all, let's recite with the recollection of the Buddhas and Dhammas Pachu, the Dhammacakka Potana Sutta in Pāļi, only Pāļi, we will focus. Okay. Evam me suttam ekam samayam Bhagava Varanasiyam viharati isi badane migadai Tadara ko Bhagava Pancavagiye bhikkhu amandesi Dvimi bhikkhave anda pavajitena nasevitapam Kadami dvi yojayam Kamesu kama sukhalika nuyogo ino gamo poto janiko anariyo anatha sahito yojayam adagila matha nuyogo dukho anariyo anatha samhito Idiko bhikkhave ubo andi nupagama Majjhima Paṭipara Tathagatina Abhisambuddha Chakku Karani Jnana Karani Upasamaya Abhiññāya Sambodhaya Nibbānaya Sambodhati Paṭamā ca sa bhikkhave Majjhima Paṭipara Tathagatina Abhisambuddha Chakku Karani Jnana Karani Upasamaya Abhiññāya Sambodhaya Nibbānaya Sambodhati Ayamewa Ariyo Atthangiko Maggo Siyatidam Samma Diṭṭhi Samma Saṅkappo Samma Vāca Samma Kammando Samma Ajivo Samma Vāyamo Samma Sati Samma Samadhi Ayam Khosa Bhikkhave Majjhima Paṭipara Tathagatina Abhisambuddha Chakku Karani Jnana Karani Upasamaya Abhiññāya Sambodhaya Nibbānaya Sambodhati Idam Kobana Bhikkhave Dukkam Ariya Saccam Jadipi Dukkha Jarapi Dukkha Vyadipi Dukkho Maranampi Dukkam Abhiyehi Sambayogo Dukkho Piyehi Vipayogo Dukkho Yampi Chana Labhati Dampi Dukkam Samkhedina Panchupadana Khanda Dukkam Idam Kobana Bhikkhave Dukkha Samudayam Ariya Saccam Yayam Dana Pono Bhavika Nandiraga Sahagata Dadara Binandini Siyatidam Kamadana Bhavadana Vibhavadana Idam Kobana Bhikkhave Dukkha Nirodham Ariya Saccam Yodasa Yevadanaya Asisa Viraga Nirodho Jago Padinisago Mudi Analayo Idam Kobana Bhikkhave Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Paṭipara Ariya Saccam Ayamewa Ariyo Atthangiko Maggo Siyatidam Samma Diṭṭhi Samma Saṅkappo Samma Vāca Samma Kammando Samma Ajivo Samma Vāyamo Samma Sati Samma Samadhi Idam dukkam Ariya Sajjanti me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloka udabadi Tam khopanidam dukkam Ariya Sajjam Prinyanti me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnanam udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Tam khopanidam Dukkam Ariya Sajjam Prinyadanti me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Idam dukkha samudayam Ariya Sajjanti me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloka udabadi Tam khopanidam Dukkha samudaya Ariya Sajjam Ahadabandi me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Tam khopanidam Dukkha samudaya Ariya Sajjam Pahinandi me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Idam dukkha nirodham Ariya Sajjanti me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnanam udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Tam khopanidam Dukkha nirodham Ariya Sajjam Sachikata bandi me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Tam khopanidam Dukkha nirodham Ariya Sajjam Sachikatanti me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Idam dukkha nirodha gamini Paṭivedha Ariya Sajjanti me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Tam khopanidam Dukkha nirodha gamini Paṭivedha Ariya Sajjam Bhavidabandi me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Tam khopanidam Dukkha nirodha gamini Paṭivedha Ariya Sajjam Bhavidabandi me bhikkhave Ubhinanu desu dhammesu Jakum udabadi Jnana udabadi Anya udabadi Vijja udabadi Aloko udabadi Yawa givancha me bhikkhave Imesu jatusu Ariya Sajjesu Evanti parivartan dvara sakaram Yatha buddha jnana dasanam Nasu visuddham ahosi Neva davaham bhikkhave Sa devaki loki Sa maraki sa brahmaki Sasamana Brahmaniya Bhajaya Sadhiva Manusaya Anuttaram Sama Sambodhin Abhisambhudoti Pajanyasin Yatocha Khomi Bhikkhave Imesu Chadusu Ariya Sachesu Evanti Parivattam Dharasakaram Yatha Buddham Jnana Dasanam Suvisudam Ahosi Athaham Bhikkhave Sadhivaki Loki Samaraki Sabramaki Sasamana Brahmaniya Bhajaya Sadhiva Manusaya Anudaram Sama Sambodhi Abhisambhudoti Pajanyasin Jnanam Chapanami Dasanam Udapadi Agubami Vimudi Ayamandi Majadi Nati Dani Buna Bhavati Ira Mawaja Bhagava Adamana Panjavagiya Bhikkhu Bhagavato Bhasidam Abhinandondi Ima Samin Japana Vyakarana Samin Panyamani Ayasamado Gonanyasam Vidajam Vidamalam Tamachakon Udapadi Yankanji Samudaya Dhammam Sabandam Nirodha Dhammandi Odi Dejabana Bhagavata Dhammachaki Uma Dewa Sadamanusa Viso Idam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isi Badani Migadayi Anudaran Dhammachakam Bhavatidam Abharivatidam Samani Nawa Brahmani Nawa Devi Nawa Mari Nawa Brahmu Nawa Kinachiwa Loka Samindi Bhumanam Devanam Sadam Sutawa Chatu Maharajiga Deva Sadamanusa Viso Idam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isi Badani Migadayi Anudaran Dhammachakam Bhavatidam Abharivatiyam Samani Nawa Brahmani Nawa Devi Nawa Mari Nawa Brahmu Nawa Kinachiwa Loka Samindi Chatu Maharaji Ganan Devanam Sadan Sutawa Tawadin Sa Deva Yama Deva Tusida Deva Nimanarati Deva Pranimita Vasavati Deva Brahma Gayika Deva Sadamanusa Viso Idam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isi Badani Migadayi Anudaran Dhammachakam Bhavatidam Abharivatiyam Samani Nawa Brahmani Nawa Devi Nawa Mari Nawa Brahmu Nawa Kinachiwa Loka Samindi Idiha Dena Kanina Dena Layina Dena Muho Dena Yawa Brahma Loka Sado Abogachi Ayanja Dasasasi Loka Dadu Sangambi Sambagambi Sambhaveti Abhamano Cha Ularo Oba Sologi Badu Daosi Adhikama Devanam Devanu Bhavanti Athakho Bhagava Ima Udana Udanesi Anya Sivata Bo Kondanyo Anya Sivata Bo Kondanyo Di Iti Hidam Ayasama Do Kondanyasa Anya Si Kondanyo Dviva Nama Ahosi Dhammachaka Potana Suttam Nitidam. So
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So here we have finished the recitation, the Dhammachaka Purana Sutta. Is there any word still difficult for you? Please let me know. I will try to explain how to pronounce. So anything to talk about the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta? Anyone still difficult? And now you can ask.
Yeah, I just allow everyone to be able to unmute and ask questions
Yes.
Monday. So yes, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions to Pandey. And then you have question? You're looking at it. I'm not sure. Okay. Gopi Joy, do you have any questions? The rest of you, I can't really see. Okay. Pandey, looks like your students have learned so well. No questions.
So if so, I like to introduce another sutta or Nattalakkhana Sutta. That is second sutta preached by the Buddha.
Oh, hang on, Pandey. I'm sorry, Pandey. John has said he wants to, looks like John has some question. John, I'm going to push the button here. So can you try unmuting yourself?
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't able to unmute earlier.
Okay.
Pandey, thank you for helping us. And I have a question about P and B. In English, it's P and B, but in the Pāļi, they sounds very similar. I cannot tell what's the difference between the pronunciation for those two.
Okay, so P and PH, because there are also in English there are added H to make we make the aspiration when we pronounce the word. First one is pa without making aspiration from our mouth after the pa. So after pa become pa, so softer than the pa. So in the Pāļi pronunciation, the first line ka, cha, and ja, ta, ta, like this. So the first line we call the first consonants, and the second one like a ka. So ka and ka. The difference is after ka we breathe out, or we out our air from the mouth, become ka. So ka, ka. And because of that, the sign H we spell in English is H with H. So ka only K and KH ka. In the same way, pa and pa also pa. The same system we pronounce pa, but we have to out the air from our mouth. So pa become pa. So pa, like this. So this is the difference. The first word and second word. Yeah.
Now how about the next one, the B?
B. Yeah, B and PH, right?
The P and PH, you explain the P and PH, right? But the next one is the B. B and PH.
Yeah.
B and BH is the next two.
Yeah, okay. It's also the same. Yeah, we just need to out the air from your mouth for the second one with H. So B, ba, BH is ba. So, but actually in this case, only slightly different, but in Myanmar pronunciation, almost the same, ba and ba. But when we pronounce for the official recitation or important case, we usually emphasize ba and ba. So it becomes stronger and make the out the air from the mouth. Ba is called the second PH ba. Yeah.
I still can't quite tell the difference between the P and the B.
P and B. Okay, let's see in the. Okay, sorry. So here, this one P.
P, yeah, that's P, and then the Bhikkhu, that's the B.
Yeah, Varanasi B, right?
B, yeah. These two,
Yeah.
these two, I'm not able to tell the difference on the pronunciation.
Okay, I will pronounce here. Varanasiyan. So Varanasiyan, ba. So it's a hot. Varanasiyan. Here, ba is soft. Ba. Panja. So not panja. So here, Varanasiyan, not Varanasiyan. Here, panja, not panja. That's why the ba and ba different. The difference is like this: pa are soft one, and ba are hard one. So this also different. Pa and ba different.
Yeah. The P is the soft one.
Soft one, yes. P pa pa
And,
pa ba.
and the B, that's a hard one.
And B, this one is hard one. B, Varanasiyan, ba, the hard one.
Okay, it's a very small difference.
Yeah,
Okay.
very simple, yeah.
Sure, we can we say like this? PATH path, PATH or BIRTH path. But
yeah.
so we can, this pronunciation is the same as PATH is path, PATH or PATH is bit. So they mean bit me but you know, I think the way, yeah. So can you find out this way?
Yeah, they are P and B different, but they, when we listen, the sound is very similar. They feel. For the yes, if you become used to, you can identify. Otherwise, at the beginning, you know, the P and B are very similar.
Thank you, Bande.
Yeah.
Okay, any other question?
Silence me, everybody is okay.
Okay. So here, Anatta Lakkhana Sutta just introduced you should recite. I want to suggest that one, the Anatta. Yeah, Anatta and Lakkhana, two words together, Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. Then here this sign A1 Ika Samaya, which is called Nikahita in Pāļi. Then sometimes right in the dot is above the M. Sometimes right dot is under. So these two systems you need to know. Some texts, you know, the ancient times, the former time, they write in this way. The dot is under. So if you check this, some Pāļi book, you will see the Ekam Samayam. And sometimes like this, so Ekam Samayam, dot is above the M. So, but if you know, this is referring to the Nikahita, which have to pronounce with the closed mouth. After that, you need to close. So Ekam Samayam, but no difference, referring to the same word. Ekam Samaya. So I want to show the pronunciation is the same, but writing system can be different. But some using following this system, and they write in this way, and then the others writing in another way. So yeah, after 5 days after the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha preached the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta to the same audience of the Pañcavakkiya Bhikkhu. So this also a remarkable sutta, because after this sutta, the listening of this sutta, the Pañcavakkiya Bhikkhu, so they attain the enlightenment up to the highest level. So this is the statement. So Kina Jati Usitam Brahmacharyan Katam Karaniyan Napara Itatayati Pajanati. This is the statement for the Arhata Magga, attainment of the Arhata Magga. So we can understand after listening of the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, the Pañcavakkiya Bhikkhu the 5 group of ascetics, they attain the enlightenment up to the highest level. So Dhammacakka Bodhana Sutta and Anattalakkana Sutta together you can recite. Okay, so here only a few things. Let me introduce. Ikan Samayam Bhagawa Varanasiya Viharati Isipadane Mikaraye same. Tatara ko Bhagawa Panchavagi Bhikkhu Amante Si Bhikkhawati. Padante Dikti Bhikkhu here, but done, da come to done, te, like this. Padante, that we pronounce it. Padante Dikti Bhikkhu Bhagavato Pacha Soso. Yeah, Pacha Soso. Bhagava Ida Davaja. Rupam Bhikkhave Anatta. Rupam Bhikkhave Anatta. Rupanja Hidam. Yeah, heart and the Idam. So heart and Idam Hidam. Rupanja Hidam Bhikkhave Atta Abhavisa. With after that the Davesa, it becomes with Abhavisa. We pronounce the Abhavisa here with Abhavisa. And na yidam rupam avadaya samvuttiya. Samvuttiya. Yeah, T double and ya double. Samvuttiya. Labbi taja. Yeah, L A after L A B and PH is the double consonant. So labbi taja. Labbi taja rubi. Ewa me rupa hodu ewa me rupa ma ho sidi. Yasma ja ko bhikkhave rupa anatta tasma rupa abadaya samvutati. Nacha labadi rupe ewa me rupa hodu ewa me rupa ma ho sidi. So after reading one sutta of the Dhammacakka Bodhana Sutta, no more difficulties, than to pronounce. And just to make familiar, because the text is very new at that time, you feel strange and difficult to pronounce. But after reading 2 or 3 times, it becomes familiar, and then you can recite and you can read all the while. Okay, so I think it is time to stop here for the Pāļi program, Pāļi teaching.
Thank you, Sayadaw, for the teaching the Pāļi pronunciation lesson. We can now move on to the Abhidhamma lecture portion of the class. Sayadaw, you would like to begin the Abhidhamma lecture.
Okay, let's start our Abhidhamma study. So today we are going to study about the Citta. So we will discuss about the consciousness. So you have to remember that 4 ultimate reality before we continue to the Citta. So Citta is one of the ultimate reality. Let's review the what are the 4 ultimate realities. So the first one is Citta, consciousness, translated as consciousness. And second one, mental fetters or mental states, Cittasika. The Citta, consciousness, and Cittasika, mental fetters, they arise together. We already explained in the first lesson. The consciousness and mental fetters, they arise together. We regarded them as a mental group. So mental group arise one group and another group. In this way, it becomes process. And the others are materialities and nibbana. So Citta, Cittasika, Rupa, Nibbana. You have to keep all the ultimate reality in your mind through the study of Abhidhamma. Because we will repeat many times about them, and also we will analyze of the Citta, consciousness, mental fetters, materiality, and we will study about the Nibbana. So today, about the Citta, which is translated as consciousness. Here's before we study from the Abhidhamma point of view. First of all, I would like to introduce about the one teaching of the Dhammapada, which is considered as the Sutta. That is the nature of the consciousness, Citta. So in different sutta, the Buddha expressed the nature of consciousness. Many different explanations come in the sutta teaching. But here, I only bring two. One is Anguttara Nikaya teaching. Here, the Buddha stated that I do not see even one other things. What means in which case the change so quickly. So mind changed so quickly. Even the Buddha cannot see the other thing that quickly changed like mind, as mind. It means what the Buddha say, I don't see, mean we can make the conclusion. There's no other things. There's no other things because the Buddha already have the power to understand the true nature. If something really exists or really happen, the Buddha can see or the Buddha can understand. But now, even for the Buddha himself cannot find. It means there's nothing. So the mind, the consciousness quickly change or quickly run. It means the change does not mean they are one to another, changing to one to another. It means the first one arise. The first group of mentalities led by the consciousness Citta arise. After that, at the dissolution of that group, that mentality group, is another one arise. After that, another one arise. In this way, in the process, one group of mentality arise. We consider that the three phases of the beginning phase, static phase, and the dissolution phase. Although we consider with the three phases, the speed or the moment is very short. The speed is too fast. How fast means faster than, now we say the light is very fast. The speed of the light is very fast, but the mind is faster than that. So the Buddha said, I do not see even one other things to compare in the speed. So this is one nature of the consciousness of mind. That's why even one blink times, the 100,000 millions of the mind movement can pass. So how fast? And even we cannot compare the other things. The Buddha said that even the similes or the example is not easy to give. So whatever you understand, this is fast, and you have to make your understanding mind is faster than that. Okay, so let's move to the another discourses expressed in the Dhammapada. Is in Durangama Ikacharan Asariran Guha Sayam. Yechitan Sayam Mesanti Mokhanti Mara Bandana. This is the verses preached by the Buddha and recorded in the Dhammapada. This translation, the mind wanders, go around, far, move about alone. So we will see one after another here. Wander far, go far, Durangama. The mind can go far if we directly translate. But actually, mind when arises there cannot go to the other place. When it arises in our body, based upon our body, it disappears there. Mind does not go. Actually, mind take the object. The explanation comes that for the proper understanding about the wander far, go far. Actually, mind take the object far from us, far from it arise. So it is considered as my mind is going to somewhere. So if you think about the Myanmar, so my mind go to Myanmar, my mind go home like this. If you are in the office, my mind go home, or like this. I'm thinking that actually the mind does not go. Mind just take the object far away. It is called, because the Sutta explanation come in the different means, different methods. So people can understand in their common language, oh, my mind go somewhere like this. That's why the Buddha used go far or wander fast and go to some place. So go to Washington, D.C. or go to Taiwan or somewhere. Now, easily, if we consider something located in other place, it seems our mind go there, but actually our mind is where it arises. And here, mostly based upon the Hariyawatu. And then it arises and it takes the object far from here, far from that place. That's why that is the nature of mind. Another nature is ekacharan, moves about alone. Here, ekacharan is explained, wandering alone or move about alone. It refers to the, it can arise one time. So in the process, we think our mind is arising very fast, but in one thought moment, only one type of particular consciousness arises. So two thought moments cannot arise at the same time. So one thought moment or one mental group leaded by the consciousness arises. After dissolution of that mental group, another mental group has the opportunity to arise. So it is considered as the order of the volume. The one go and after that another one come. If run in the fast speed, we think it is just a line, and also sometimes we think it is one thing is going continuously because we don't see the gaps between them. Here, it does not mention that the gaps. If the former one disappear and another one take place, so no times for the gaps as a gaps. But specifically, if we classify or if we identify the mental group, they are arising separately. The group of mentality, the former mentality group, and the following mentality group, they are not missing each other, or they are not connected, but only in the order they are connected. They are not missing. And that's why only when the former one disappear, the following will arise. Following group arise. That is why we can consider consciousness itself arise only one, not with the other consciousness. But still we can understand consciousness associated with mental factors. Consciousness in the group arise with the mental factors, but consciousness cannot arise with another type of consciousness at the same time. This is also the nature of consciousness. It's called the ekacharan. Then Asariram, okay, this is no, I will not explain because it will take long time here. Asariram means the non-materiality, non-substance. You cannot find any material substance of the mind because it is mentality, not materiality at all. And it's called the Asariram. This is also one characteristic of their mentalities. Then Guhasayam, here are lines in the cave or chamber of the heart. Yet the cave or chamber of the mind reference to the heart, Haraya. So in Pali, it's the Haraya, yeah, the explanation Guhasayam. As I explained that the 5 aggregate, we can find that some realm of existence 5 aggregate. In some other realm of existence, only mentality, Arupa realm. And in one plane of existence, Asanya Satta, only materiality group. Among them, 27 plane of existence, maybe if you need, and then you can look back there, Okasa log out that plane. Then 27 plane of existence belong to the 5 aggregates, or complete 5 aggregate. In this realm of existence, when mind arises, consciousness arises, most of the time, it arises based upon the heart base. So Harayawatu. That's why following to the majority of the moment, this expression comes, the Guha Sayam. Here, Guha, crypts or chamber refers to the heart. So Harayawatu. This is also one of the nature of the mind. So this is how the Buddha explained the nature of the mind in the Sutta teaching. So it's for us, following this characteristic and this nature, the mind is very strange, very difficult to understand, difficult to know like this. This is from the Sutta teaching. So for the Abhidhamma teaching, mind is already classified into different types and also widely explained so we can understand. But you have to remember that true thought moment cannot arise at the particular times. So only one thought moment or one group of mentalities led by their consciousness, specific types of consciousness will arise at a time. Okay. So here, when we study about the consciousness or Citta, we have to explain from the Citta Niyama. Among the fifth order or Niyama, we call the Pāli Niyama, is called the fifth order. It's the nature. According to their nature, they arise. Nobody is managing. And also nobody can change. That is called Niyama. So here, what is the fifth order of consciousness? So fifth order of consciousness is there. When the consciousness arises, it arises cognizing an object. So consciousness never arises without cognizing any object. It means my consciousness arises, but I don't know anything or I don't recognize. But actually, consciousness itself has the nature to cognize the object. Even when you are sleeping, sound sleep, it means after waking up, you don't know. But during the sleeping time, your consciousness takes the specific objects. So we will explain later what types of object can be your sleeping mind's object. So at the beginning, we have to notice that whenever consciousness arises, it arises cognizing an object, aware to the object. Sometimes, like us sleeping or between the two processes, the Bhavanga Citta, they are considered as the passive form, not active at this. So it seems not knowing, but actually in its nature, it knows the object, specific object. Because consciousness cannot arise without any object. So if there is object, the consciousness can arise. If there is no object at all, the consciousness cannot arise. And when the consciousness arises, it uses 6 doors. So here, 5 sense doors: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. And for the last, mind door. So we collectively call the former 5 sense doors. In Pali, they are called Panja Dwara. 5 is Panja, and doors Dwara, so Panja Dwara. And for the last one, mind door, only mind door. So altogether 6 doors. When consciousness arises, it arises through any of 6 doors. 5 doors and mind door, 6 doors. So to nature you have to know. Without object, consciousness cannot arise. And when consciousness arises, it comes to arise through 6 doors, any of 6 doors. And also another things, when consciousness arises, they cannot occur random or in isolation. So it arises as faced in the series or discrete concrete events. It means the process in the process, very systematic process. So in the regular or uniform orders. So you may think that who made this order, who decide for this order, is according to its own nature, the fifth order. So nobody is managing for that. So we don't need to consider about any powerful creature or any powerful living beings to manage for that, to make the orders. Actually, the nature itself makes this one. This is called the Citta Niyama, the fifth order of consciousness. Okay, so we have learned some expression about their consciousness in the Sutta. It can go far and it arises at a time only one type. And it arises in the process and based upon the Haraya mostly. Then here in this slide, we learn with the objects and use any of 6 doors and also arise in the series or their regular or uniform order. These are the important natures of the consciousness. Before we learn the consciousness, we have to know that. And please take a note and to make sure you know that. Okay, so these are 6 doors. When the consciousness arises, without these, any doors, here, we call the 6 door. Through 6 door, it comes. But when we study in chapter 3, we study the chapter 3 of Abhidhamma Lecture, we will see some types of consciousness are considered as door-free consciousness. Dwara Vimutta, like this. But actually, it is just a consideration. Here, we can classify the consciousness according to the door through which they arise. So Chakku is eye, Dwara is door. So Chakku Dwara, eye door. The consciousness arises through the eye door is called the Chakku Viññāna Dhatu or Chakku Viññāna consciousness, Chakku Viññāna Citta. So here I bring the list because this already familiar to you. I already explained 7 types of consciousness in the explanation of elements. 18 elements. Among the 18 elements, we already classify consciousness, 89 consciousness into 7 types. So how we recognize them? By the name. So here, according to the elements, is called the Chakku Viññāna Dhatu. So eye consciousness elements. But if we classify only by the name of the consciousness, Chakku Viññāna Citta, you can say the Chakku Viññāna Citta, there are two types. And if the consciousness arises through the ear door, Sota is ear and Dvara is door. So through the ear door is called the Sota Viññāna Citta, or in the element it is called the Sota Viññāna Dhatu. In the same way, Ghana is nose and Dvara is door, Ghana Dvara, nose door. The consciousness arises through the nose door is called Ghana Viññāna Citta, two types. And Jinva Viññāna, Jinva is the word Jinva referring to tongue. So tongue doors, tongue door, through the tongue door, the consciousness arises, it is regarded as Jinva Viññāna Dhatu, Jinva Viññāna consciousness, two types. And through the body, Kaya is body. So the consciousness arises through the body door. So this is called the Kaya Viññāna Citta, or Kaya Viññāna here in the Dhatu, Kaya Viññāna Dhatu. Altogether, the 5 groups, 10 types are already mentioned by their specific names. The remaining 79, because we already counted 10s. So 89 consciousness, remaining 79. So divided into 2, already explained about the Mano Dhatu and Mano Viññāna Dhatu in the Dhatu classification. So here you can classify consciousness into 7 types, Satta, Viññāna, Dhatu, 7 types. Because they perform the different function. Here you see the function. So 2 eye consciousness, they perform the function of seeing. With the eye consciousness, you can see, but you cannot hear with the eye consciousness. Now, for the ear consciousness, Sota Viññāna Citta, they perform the function of hearing. It means that when you hear, you understand that is the function of the ear consciousness. Without the ear consciousness, we cannot hear. And nose consciousness perform the function of smelling. Tongue consciousness perform the function of tasting. Body consciousness perform the function of touching. So you aware of touching, mean through the body consciousness, you know. Also, we already explained the function, as the object. So what you see is visible form. So you need to check in the table what we have explained. So what you see is visible form. What you hear is sound. What you get smell is smell and taste. And touching is sensitivity. Tangible object. It know through the body consciousness. The others we already talk about the mental objects. Only know by the mind consciousness. In this way, so you have to know the types of the consciousness and the use of the dvara and their function, what they perform when they arise, their function and their objects. So these informations are essential to classify the ultimate reality of consciousness. Okay, so the 7 types or the 89 consciousness arise in our mind, in our life as a process. So before we introduce the specific process, let me introduce about the life. So if you understand the larger area and then come into the smaller one, so a narrow area, it will be better. So okay, let's consider about the samsara, what is called samsara. You already be familiar with the samsara as a Buddhist. Samsara is in Pāli, it is called the Khandananja Paṭipatti Dhatu Ayarananacha. Apuchina Vatamana Samsaroti Pāvachati. The explanation is that the group of aggregates and the group of bases, ayatana, a group of elements arising and passing away. After the former one passed away, the following one take place. In this way, the continuous order is arising. That is called samsara. Okay, in that explanation, the referent items come through the aggregates, khanda, or ayatana bases or elements, dhatu. But if they refers, I already identified, khanda refers to their ultimate reality. Ayatana also similar reference, dhatu also referring to the ultimate reality. So in this way, we can say the ultimate realities of consciousness, mental fetters, and maturity arising in the group, in the order, group of orders. Sorry, the order of groups arising continuously at this, it is called samsara. As long as it's continue due to the condition, it seems like running around. That's why endless continuum. Only when one attain the arhatship and cut off all the condition to give rise for next life, that time the round stop. Okay, so let's see how the life continues. So here we have the past life. Before we were born in this life, we died in past life. Yet that moment also have the three phases. So the beginning phase and the static phase, after that the dissolution phase. Then this group of mentalities, which is called the death moment in the past life, finished. It gone. After dissolution moment of the death in the past life, rebirth moment start, rebirth moment of this life, which is called Paṭisandhi, and rebirth linking consciousness. It starts from the rebirth linking consciousness, which is called Paṭisandhi in Pāli, the very beginning of this life. And up to the moment of death, the last moment of this life is called the present life. Now we are living present life. It started from the rebirth moment of our life. It will end in the death moment. Until the death moment arises. And then we live. So this is life between rebirth and death moment. After death moment, what will happen? So if we cannot attain the arhatship in this life, the conditions still continue. Due to the condition, next life will continue, future life. So future life also the same as this life. It will start with the rebirth linking. After that, it will continue and will end in that moment. So if we consider about the past life also started with the rebirth and end in the death. In this way, you can see the continuum of the life. Past life, present life, as long as we have condition, the future life will come. And we will continue in the round of rebirth. Rebirth, then live after that, death come, then new rebirth come, and continue to until the death moment. In this way, the same. Beings in the awful state, beings in the sense-sphere plane of existence, including human beings, Deva, and beings in the Brahma ranks, all beings repeating the same item of the life, started from the rebirth and end in death. Even the long life Brahma, it started the rebirth and then will end in death. Even the short lifespan, the animal with short lifespan also started their life, started rebirth and end in death. Okay, between rebirth linking, the first moment, and death, the last moment, what happened? Let's see. Just after rebirth linking, some specific moment of Bhavanga. So here, Bhavanga is life continuums. Then rebirth, death, and Bhavanga, they are the same types of consciousness in the same life. For example, we were born in this life, the specific kinds of consciousness is called the resultant consciousness. Then it recurs at the moment of death. I mean, the last moment, the same types reoccurs again to perform the function of death. Then between them, it repeats as the function of Bhavanga. The Bhavanga is Bhava and Anga. Bhava is life. Anga is birth. As a part of the life, it repeats. So that's why these three types of rebirth, linking, death, and Bhavanga are the same types in one life. So we were born this type of consciousness. During the life, it occurred as a Bhavanga, and we were dying with the same consciousness. Then what follows? Sometimes if we have the ayonisomanesikara, it means unwise attention or improper attention. At that time, unwholesome consciousness arises in our process. One time, or maybe several times, or many times continue. This is called the unwholesome consciousness, akusala. So akusala also arises in our mind, mental process. Sometimes if we have the proper attitude or wise reflection, which is called yonisomanesikara, then at the time the wholesome consciousness arises. So now we can understand during the lifetime, the Bhavanga, this is the resultant types arise, and also unwholesome types arise. Wholesome type kusala also arise. And sometimes to perform the other function, the vipaka or kiriya, for example, seeing consciousness, is just the resultants, not wholesome, not unwholesome, the seeing consciousness. It is called the vipaka. The vipaka resultant consciousness arise. And in the process, specific process, we will introduce them. Specific process to perform some action, some function of the mentalities, the kriya consciousness, the functional consciousness also arise. So now we can identify akusala, kusala, vipaka or kiriya, they collectively call the abhyagata function. So not out of the wholesome and unwholesome classification, they are called abhyagata, vipaka, and kiriya. So if we classify into four, akusala, kusala, vipaka, and kiriya, So unwholesome, wholesome, resultant, and functional. In this way, the consciousness arises in our mental process until the death moment comes. So in this process, we will explain with more information about that there. For the Arahat, no more unwholesome consciousness, no more wholesome consciousness. Instead of them, the functional consciousness take place. And for the others, ordinary person or their trainees, their wholesome or unwholesome, arise due to their condition. Okay, so this is how the consciousness arises through of the life process. So the continuation of the life, which is called samsara. So we have to consider the samsara is the continuum of the life. And the life is continuum of the mental process and material process. So here we explain about the process of mentalities. And you see this one, that after Paṭivedha movement, 3 phases already finished, and that the last moment is called the dissolution moment. Until the dissolution moment finished, the other type cannot arise. So just after the dissolution moment, another bhavanga arises. So another bhavanga arises. After that, according to the nature, akusala movement arises. In this way, we understand how they arise one after another, or how they arise only one types at the specific moment. They cannot arise the two types together at the same time. Okay, so this is about the samsara and the mind movements introduction. Okay, so let's talk about the loka. So while we already talked about the okasa loka, a plane of existence, 31 planes of existence. And here, loka, the world reference to the 5 aggregate of clinging, uparana khanda. There, uparana khanda also already identified with the mundane consciousness. You can check it back. The mundane consciousness and associated mental fetters, materialities. When they come to appear at the same time in the group, they are called the aggregates, because they are the object of clinging, the attachment around you. They are called the clinging aggregate. On the other hand, they are called the loka, the wall. And the consciousness arises in the loka, in the wall, in 3 wall, is kama, rupa, arupa. Kama loka, the sensual plane of existence. Rupa loka, the 5 material plane of existence. Arupa loka, immaterial plane of existence. So the consciousness arises or pertain to the 3 walls, loka. It is called the lokiya citta. So altogether, 81 types of consciousness are called mundane consciousness, lokiya citta. So now we will start to classify. The 89 can be 81 and 8. So 81 are mundane, lokiya citta. And the rest are called supramundane, lokuttara citta. Okay, so why they are called lokiya citta? They run around the samsara, cycle of rebirth. So generating the aggregates, and sometimes the result of their karma. And among the 31 plane of existence, is the cycle of rebirth and death, which is considered as the full of suffering, samsara. And with the lokiya citta, one can run around the loka, the wall, 3 wall, any of the 3 wall, the kama loka, rupa loka, arupa loka. Then, okay, so another ultimate reality is nibbana, the cessation of suffering, or ultimate peace. So it is out of the 31 plane of existence. It is out of the wall, out of the loka, the liberation from the suffering. And here we already explained lokiya citta, another type, lokuttara citta. The remaining 8, magga citta 4, phala citta 4. These 8 consciousness, that's pertain to the process of transcending the wall, not inside the wall, transcending, uttara. So the wall is loka, transcending is uttara. That consciousness pertaining to the process of transcending the world, called the Lokuttara. On the other hand, they are called the supramundane consciousness, translated as supramundane consciousness 8. So these types of Lokuttara consciousness lead to liberation because they take Nibbana as their object. Leads to liberation. Liberation from samsara, out of the samsara Nibbana. And it leads to attainment of Nibbana because when they arise, the 8 Lokuttara Citta, when they arise, they take Nibbana as their object. So this is how we can classify the 89 consciousness according to the Lokiya, mundane, and supramundane. So supramundane, only 8. Okay, so for more classification, these 4 types of consciousness are classified according to the plane of existence. You have to remember planes, but we have classified the sensual spheres, sensual plane of existence, Kama Loka, and 5 material sphere of existence is called the Rupa Loka, and immaterial plane of existence are called Arupa Loka. So according to the plane of existence, 3 classes are identified. The last one, just now I have explained that the transcendent, so Lokuttara, Loka is world, and Uttara beyond or transcendent to. And the last type is called Lokuttara Citta. So the consciousness, 54 consciousness, they usually occurs in the sensual plane of existence. That's why considered as their place or their domain is sensual plane of existence. So 11 sensual plane of existence, it usually occurs. That is why the 54 consciousness are regarded as Kama Vajara Citta. So later we will classify, we will analyze what are the 54. But now you have to keep the information. You have to try to understand why we classify or why we identify the 54 consciousness as the Kama Vajara Citta, sense sphere consciousness. Because they arise mostly in the sensual planes of existence. So sensual planes of existence is regarded as their domain. This is the reason why we can call Kama Vajara Citta or sensual sphere consciousness. And another here, Kama and Vajara are explained. Yeah, Kama, subjective sensuality, and the objective sensuousness, two meaning. If we call the Kama referring to craving, this is subjective side. It can cling, it can attach to. That's why it has the subjective nature, Kama. And on the other hand, if we refers to the 5 external sense object, form, visible form, sound, smell, taste, and tangible object. And these are objective sensuals. They cannot be subjective side, and then they can be only be as an object. So Kama and Avajara. And Avajara is moving about or frequently arise. So particular locality of that types of consciousness. That is why Kama Vajara. So usually arise regarding the 5 sensual objects, or which is under the domain of their craving, sensual craving. This is called the Kama Vajara. So altogether 54 types. In the same way, we can apply some consciousness mostly arise in the 5 material sphere plane of existence. So altogether, 16 5 material sphere consciousness plane of existence. The consciousness mostly arise altogether 15 consciousness. They are regarded as rupa vachara because they are rupa vachara because the 5 material plane of existence, rupa loka is their domain. So this is called the rupa vachara citta 15. And arupa vachara citta, same. The mostly occurs in the immaterial plane of existence, arupa loka. That is why they are regarded as arupa vachara citta. Here we say the mostly arise. Why we say the mostly arise means sometimes the kama vachara citta, for example, unwholesome consciousness, can arise in the rupa vachara realm and arupa vachara realm too. Sometimes, only sometimes. So when the Brahma have the doubt, vichikicha. So the vichikicha is doubt. So you may heard about the Brahma, which is called Bhagat Brahma, come to argue with the Buddha. That means does not understand the true nature, still have the doubt. At that time, the unwholesome consciousness, it is in the group of kama vachara, but arise in the rupa vachara being's mind and rupa vachara realm of existence. Also, sometimes the Brahma, they develop the wholesome consciousness to seeing the Buddha and listening the Dhamma. The wholesome consciousness arise. It is sensual wholesome consciousness, but arise in the rupa vachara realm, 5 material sphere, because the being is Brahma. But that types of occurrence is rare, of only a few cases compared to the arising of the sensual plane of existence. So another case, if the human yogi practice their meditation and attain their rupa vachara jhana, first jhana, second jhana, etc., the 5 material sphere jhana, that types of consciousness is called the rupa vachara citta, among the rupa vachara citta. But it occurs in the sense sphere realms because the human being is called the sensual sphere beings, the being or sensual plane of existence. Then that times or that occurrence is only a few cases compared to the rupa vachara citta arise in the rupa vachara realm in the Brahma's mind. So in this case, we can make conclusion, although the kama vachara can arise rupa realm and arupa realm, and also rupa vachara can arise the sensual plane sometimes, but only a few cases. That's why we can give the name kama vachara, rupa vachara, arupa vachara, etc. according to the plane of existence. They occur mostly or they occur frequently. And for the Lokuttara, already explained that when they arise, taking Nibbana as their object, they are in the process of transcending the world. That is why they are called Lokuttara. 8 consciousness are called Lokuttara. But if we identify all the ultimate reality as Lokuttara, we say that Nibbana and Lokuttara Citta. So Nibbana also out of the world. Lokuttara regarded as the Loka Uttara. So the supramundane consciousness 8 are called the supramundane realities or Lokuttara. Okay, now we can get the specific classification here. 54 Kama Vachara Citta, 15 Rupa Vachara Citta, and 12 Arupa Vachara Citta, and 8 Lokuttara Citta, altogether 89 consciousness. Another usage here, the 5 material sphere, Rupa Vachara Citta 15 and Arupa Vachara Citta 12, 27 consciousness. All these consciousness are jhana. The consciousness of jhana. We will learn what is jhana and how we practice, how can we practice to attain the jhana. And all these 27, you can take a note here, have Rupa Vachara and Arupa Vachara, collectively called jhana citta. The jhana citta, and another usage will bring that mahakata. Okay, that's later. And okay, it's not only 4 types of consciousness according to their plane of existence. Here, another 4 types of consciousness with respect to the nature. Their nature is called jati. Okay. The first type is called the akusala citta, unwholesome consciousness, akusala citta. So why we can say akusala citta? There are 2 reasons. The first reason is they are mentally unhealthy or morally blameworthy. Sawaja. Sawaja. Waja is the blameworthy, the offense or something. So a kind of consciousness, if we consider when it arises, is mentally unhealthy because they come with the defilements. Defilements, the mental defilements. So the Buddha gives the example: if the metal of the gold with its defilements, it's impure and not that strong like a pure gold. In the same way, the mind with its impurity of defilements is called the unhealthy, so mentally unhealthy. And if we see from the moral aspects, moral perspective, the blameworthy, so unwholesome consciousness arises is blameworthy. And this is one reason to call akusala. And another reason is productive of painful result. It can produce the painful result. Dukkha vipaka. So here dukkha is painful. Vipaka is result. Dukkha vipaka. The cause for the painful result is another reason to call akusala. So it accompanied with the unwholesome roots, accompanied by the unwholesome root, any of 3, sometimes 2 together, the greed, hatred, or delusion, lobha, dosa, moha. This is how we can identify the akusala citta. So the consciousness, mentally unhealthy and morally blameworthy. Another aspect, it can bring painful result. We can say this is unwholesome consciousness. Without these as 2 aspects, not blameworthy, not painful result, we cannot say this is unwholesome. So another one, kusala citta, wholesome consciousness, translated as wholesome consciousness. And the opposite of the unwholesome consciousness, akusala, it is mentally healthy. So here unhealthy and become healthy. And for moral perceptive, become blameless, anavaja. the nature of anavaja is the reason to call the kusala. And also as the opposite of the akusala, it is productive of pleasant nature, pleasant result, sukha vipaka. So the accompanying roots are also opposite. Here, greed, hatred, and delusion are the root of akusala. Non-greed, non-hatred, or non-delusion are the roots of kusala. So now we can classify akusala consciousness and kusala consciousness. They are different in their own nature. That's why we cannot make together in the same group. We have to classify to make the different nature. And akusala, here you see the protective. So they can produce the result. And kusala also can produce the result. The result of kusala and akusala are called vipaka. Vipaka is the resultant consciousness that arises through the ripening of karma. So akusala also have the akusala karma. Kusala karma. They produce the result is called the vipaka. So former two types can be regarded as the karma. Akusala karma, kusala karma. And number three is vipaka, the resultants of the former two. This is another type. So we cannot make together with the former two types. And here karma means volitional action. So with the unwholesome consciousness, volitional action, it is unwholesome karma. With the wholesome consciousness, volitional action, which is called the wholesome karma. And in the specific ultimate reality, we call the mental factors of volition, which is called Citta. And for number four, kriya. Unlike the former types, different from former types, the kriya citta, which is translated as functional consciousness. It is from the karmic point, there are neither karma nor karma resultant. So as I said, the 1 and 2 are regarded as karma, and number 3 is result of karma. So here the number 4 types is neither karma nor karma as resultants. No karma, no resultant. So it becomes another types. Mere activities. So it is the activity of mental process, which mental activity, but not capable to produce karmic result. So here, akusala and kusala, they have their potency to produce result. So not same as the number 4. And the number 3 is only the resultant of their karma. Here, number 4 is not resultant of karma, different from 3, and also cannot produce different from number 1 and 2. So it becomes the kriya citta, another types. In this way, we can classify consciousness into 4 types according to its kind or its jati, nature. Akusala citta, kusala citta, vipaka citta, kriya citta. So you have to study to understand or to remember the different nature of them. Then if we count this according to the Abhidhamma Sangha explanation, unwholesome consciousness 12. Yeah, 12 unwholesome consciousness. Wholesome consciousness 21. Number 2 types 21. And resultant consciousness 36, altogether 36. And for the functional consciousness 12. This is how we can classify the 89 consciousness into 4 types according to Jati. And here, this is the unwholesome consciousness 12 and the wholesome consciousness 21. They are called, we can say the karma, wholesome, if we have to opt the ultimate reality of the supramundane from the karma. Then in their Abhidhamma teaching in Madhika and Dhammasangani, the first part of Abhidhamma teaching, the Buddha says Kusala Dhamma, here refers to this one, the group 21. Akusala Dhamma refers to 12. And the others say Abhyagata Dhamma, the Buddha used the word. I would like to introduce this one. Kusala Dhamma, Akusala Dhamma, Abhyagata Dhamma. And also, if you recite the Patthana, Paccaya-nittisa, you see the Abhyagata Dhamma, like this, Abhyagata Dhamma. So this Abhyagata refers to the two groups of resultant and functional. So resultant consciousness and functional consciousness are called the undeterminate, collectively called undeterminate, Abhyagata. So if we use Abhyagata, it refers to the two groups together, resultants and functional, Vipaka and Kriya. So if we want to emphasize by their name, we use the Vipaka Citta and sometimes we use the Kriya Citta. But sometimes if we want to use collectively as the Abhyagata to resultant and functional. Okay, so we have to remember two classification according to the plane of existence, Kama Vajra Citta 54, Rupa Vajra Citta 15, Arupa Vajra Citta 12, and Lokuttara Citta 8. And here, for the classification according to the nature, Jadi, Akusala Citta 12, Kusala Citta 21, Vipaka Citta 36, and Kriya Citta functional 20. So this is how we need to classify the consciousness. So actually, all 89 consciousness share the same characteristic of knowing or recognizing the objects, but they can classify according to their plane of existence, according to their nature. Okay, this is the first part of the consciousness study. Okay, and let me stop here, explanation, and let's continue to the Q&A session.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Yada, for the Abhidhamma lecture on the beginning part of the Citta. We can now move on to the question and answer session, like Siada mentioned.